Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to do some math problems, so let's go. So we're going to start with 3.2, which is called floating down the river, and it kind of talks about what we were doing last time we were together. So this is what you should be able to do by the end of today's lesson, and this lesson is going to be in parts because we don't have enough time to finish. It says you'll be able to identify key features of functions. And we use key features of functions to analyze tables and graphs. And how do I describe key features of a function? So notice here, because you guys have the ability to graph everything using my best friend, Desmos, they're not asking you to graph something. They're asking you to identify things, use the features, analyze the things. These are things that your graphing calculator can't do. So these are things that we as humans need to get better at, so that when we look at a graph, we can kind of pick out the important parts, right? So here's our context. Alonzo, Maria, and Sierra were floating in inner tubes down a river, enjoying their day. Alonzo noticed that sometimes the water was much deeper in some places than in others. Maria noticed that there were times they seemed to be moving faster than at other times. Sierra laughed and said, math is everywhere. It legit is, like legit. Okay. So to learn more about the river, Alonzo and Maria collected data throughout their trip. Here is Alonzo's data table about the depths of the water as they floated along. And I know you guys are thinking, like, how are they writing this all down? Because, right, like they're in the water, they don't have pencil and paper. Like, what are they doing? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, so it says use the because it's fake. No, maybe they tried to remember it. So use the data that Alonzo collected in the table to interpret the key features of this relationship. So here's the data. Everybody good with my data? Very good. Let me grab something really quick. I forgot to open this. And then so it says Maria created a graph by collecting the data on a GPS unit provided by the distance she traveled over a period of time. This is that curve. You guys will see it. Time over distance. And then so here they're going slower, and then they go faster, and then they go slower. Remember, that's what she said. So it says, describe the key features of the relationship shown in Maria's graph. Include intervals of increase, decrease, domain, range, maximum, minimum, and intercepts. All right, let's pick something and start talking about it. Go ahead. What's something that you can talk about? Anyone want to talk about increase, decrease, domain, range, maximum, minimum, or intercepts? Which one do you guys want to start with?
Maximum.
Perfect. Okay, so here we go. So your maximum literally means the highest points. Oops. Do you have a highest point? In this graph, do we have a highest point? And someone says, yeah, Ms. Johnson, we have a highest point. Okay, good. Where is my highest point? Yeah, it's at the top. And I'm just gonna kind of like guesstimate it. Or let's see, did they give me any information here? No, this is all depth. Okay, so I think this is like let's see, this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16-ish. I don't know, 16, maybe 16,500. I'm just gonna guess that, right? So my maximum is at 16,500 in terms of distance. And this looks like it's going by 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so that's 110, 20. So the maximum is the highest point. So this guy, which in this case is going to be the point 120, comma, I think I said 16,500. Is that what I said? I think so. This could be a little off. Like, hey, Ms. Johnson, what if I put 16,000? Is that okay? Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Here we counted by twos, right? 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000. And here we counted by 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Yeah. So if you got 9, someone said, hey, Ms. Johnson, is it okay if I write 912? No. Right? Because if you wrote 912, 912 doesn't mean anything in the context. So here, this literally means at 120 minutes, I had already traveled, or she traveled, not I traveled, but 16,500. Yes, my other name is Maria. No, it's not. Okay. Does anybody see the minimum? Yeah, very good. What's the minimum? 0, 0. Very good. 0, comma 0. Perfect. So here, if I was to write this out, let me just make sure that you guys are all comfortable. Over here is my max. Down here is my min. Is everybody okay with that? Let me just draw a little tiny arrow so that you guys all see right there, something like that. You guys all see it? Good. Next piece. So we did max, we did min. Intercepts is where it crosses the X and Y axis. Where it crosses the X and Y axis. Do you see this crossing the X or Y axis? Or someone says yes or no? Yeah, so these are actually X and Y intercepts. It's actually both, right? So it's at the point 0, comma 0. Hey, Miss Johnson, that's cool because the minimum was 0, 0. Miss Johnson, can you have that? Can you have the lowest point be the intercepts? Sure. There you go. It's right there. Okay. Okay, so that's done. Domain. Someone asked about this before we started our video. Domain means, and I'll write this out, domain means we need to look from left to right and ask yourself, which X's are available to us? Which X's are available to us? Which X's are graphed? How about that? So then you say, oh, Ms. Johnson, it starts at 0 because I started from the left and I'm not looking up. I'm just going to travel this way to the right. And they stopped at 120. Okay, they went from 0 to 120. So you can write it in a couple different ways. I'm going to write it using this 0, comma 120. So the reason why it's a bracket is because 0 was graphed right there, boom. 120 was graphed, boom. Okay. You can't put all real numbers because look, all the numbers on the negative side, did we graph it? Yeah, no, right? So we can't use these negative numbers. Very good question though. I like that question. Okay, really quickly before we leave, range is the same thing. We look from bottom to top and we say, hey, which Y's are graphed? So what's the lowest Y that we have? What's the lowest Y that we have? What's the lowest? Very good. 0. Very good. What's the highest Y that we have graphed? What was that? What was the max? Yeah. And some of you are like, hey, Miss Johnson, that's kind of like these numbers here are like these numbers here, like the lowest and the highest. Yeah, that's exactly right. Right? It's kind of like showing you parts of the answer. So this is where I'm going to pause it because I don't want to keep you later. So we did this and we did this. I'll explain increase and decrease next time, but it's very similar. Okay. Good job today. All right.